Hi guys, how you doing tonight?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm
Almost.
doing good.
Hi there. I'm almost perfect, but Gary knew that.
Almost there. Well, tonight we're doing a special edition of Coffee with Kellyco so that we have time to get you on here, Bill and Gary. I know you guys are both very busy, so we did this special edition, so we had the opportunity to talk with you.
Thank you very
Um,
much.
Oh, you're welcome. So I wanted to start just with some introductions for those of you who don't know who's on the video with me. Bill, you want to tell a little bit about who you are?
My name's Bill Black. I live in Sebastian, Florida. I run a little business that we look for treasure with salvage boats and do salvage diving during the summer and then fix boats in the winter. In Florida, I run a little business that we look for with salvage boats and do salvage diving during the summer and then we look for with
Did I just completely lose you guys all together?
I'm here, but I heard I saw Bill talking, then I heard the audio.
Okay. Yeah.
Bill talked and then he heard the audio.
Yeah. Is there a setting I need to do or something?
Nope, you're good. I just had it. I was pulling it up so I could see the comments while we're watching live.
Okay.
So we're good. We're good to go.
All right, good.
So, all right. And Gary, I'm pretty sure everybody knows who you are. You want to go ahead and tell a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Gary Penta, I live in Winter Garden, Florida, and I've been diving about maybe 2.5, 3 years, not that long. And I do a lot of things, as you guys know. I'm pretty much got my hands on just about everything. But one of the things, the passions that I really have learned to love is diving. And so a couple of good friends managed to get me, underwater. Like a lot of people, I had a lot of fears, a lot of anxiety, and
I understand that.
yeah, exactly. And then I just the right doors opened for me, and I met Bill, and I met some of the people that work for him, such as Mike Penninger, and ever since then, I've been, I'm as I say to Mike, I'm always available. He writes me, so are you available? I'm always available. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
That's awesome. So tonight's show, we're going to be talking a little bit about what you guys do, the diving, the salvage diving, the 1715 fleet. We got a lot really to go over. But some of our viewers, I'm surprised how many people that I talk to that have not heard about the 1715 fleet and the story behind it. Bill, do you want to tell us a little bit about what the 1715 Spanish fleet is?
Sure. In 1715, at the end of July, after several years of not being able to ship treasure back to Spain, the Spaniards really needed, they had a backup of treasure. What a problem to have. They had a lot of treasure backed up from several years of production from the mints in Mexico and farther south. So they decided that they would put this big fleet together, and they sailed 11 ships sank out of the 13, I believe it was, we believe. So I've kind of skipped, but they left on the 29th of July, 1715. On the 31st, a hurricane came up, and long story short, send them to their end on the eastern shore of Florida, but basically between St. Lucie North and most probably Canaveral. There's a chance one ship, there's a rumor, some belief that there's one ship up by St. Augustine. I disagree. I could be. There was some evidence found in deep water, but so 1,500 people perished, and all of those treasures were cast on the bottom of the ocean and onto the beach. The Spaniards, of course, got salvage ships there as quickly as possible and salvaged their people as the ones that were still alive and fished the wrecks. They brought pearl divers in from the Caribbean and basically put them on a leash and made them dive until they died. And then the Spanish were hard on the native people, but they recovered quite a bit, less than half, but on shipwrecks, that's a lot. The pirates from Nassau, the very ones that were in black sails, less the fictional characters, they came up here and fished the wrecks. By that time, the sharks were a real issue. I think they had been kind of introduced to the taste of floating bodies. If the situation was the same as it is now, the visibility is awful, and lots of people in the water, lots of activity. They lost people to sharks. They lost people to dehydration. And over the next, say 1720, essentially the salvage here was done, except by a few people who might just stop by. Fast forward to the 1960s when Kip Wagner was told about some cannons right off of the beach. He went out and looked. By God, there were cannons. And then they found coins. And then they found more coins. And that's all. There's a book that Kip wrote called Pieces of Eight that chronicles the whole thing. The Fishers got here in the late 60s and to help Kip. And since then, it's been constantly salvaged from then till now from 20 to 100 boats. Right now, the fleet's probably 20, 25 boats. Work every day all summer. Wow. That we can. And Carolyn, you've been on our boat showdown. Did a little,
Absolutely. That was so amazing. I'm so happy that I got the opportunity to meet you face to face, Phil, and see what you do out there. We did a mag run that day, and I honestly had no idea what was going on. I just know by the time I left, I wanted to learn how to scuba dive. I wanted to buy a treasure boat. I wanted to go help paint your boat. I didn't care what I wanted to do. I got bit, and I was like, man, what do I got to do to get involved in this?
So tell us what you did that day. Explain to everybody what exactly you did.
Well, what we were doing when we went out is we had a mag run. So basically, once we got out deep enough, we dropped it into the water, got it hooked up, and there's a system that you look at. And as the mag's being dragged behind the boat, it's kind of mapping out, looking for peaks. And when you see a peak, I forget how high it had to be, but it was obvious when we saw the peak. When we saw that, what you were doing, I believe, was mapping out where you were going to go next year.
Uh-huh.
So.
It registers the magnetic field of the Earth in relation to if you see if a metal object is there when we pass by, it changes the field enough that we can see it.
It was just really cool to see it. I mean, when I saw the first one, I was like, ooh, that's exciting. So,
yeah.
You're lucky I didn't jump off and see what was there, but the part thing, that kind of got me a little freaked out there.
Well, yeah. We'll get back out there and find out, though.
Absolutely.
We're building a catalog of places, mag hits to dig next year. And I suspect there will be plenty for all of us.
Absolutely.
Hopefully.
Before we move on, I just want to jump in here. We got a lot of people watching. Give a shout out to Michael Boyle, Bill, David, Mark Hoover.
Hi, Mark.
We got Brian Mott on here, Jeff Rector. There's a bunch of people joining. Gone Diggin is on here. So I just wanted to give a shout out and say hi and thanks for watching, guys. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I've got it up live so that we can answer any questions that you have.
All right. Let me jump in real quick. Also say, try to stay tuned, guys and girls, because we're going to give away some real nice things at the end of the show. We got a nice search and salvage shirt. It's right on the bed. We've got some really nice patches we'll be sending out from the Samson. We're going to discuss the Samson later. And the Carib, my favorite boat. And search and salvage Samson decal this way right there. So that'll be part of a t-shirt package at the end of the show.
So I know when we got on the boat, Bill, it was kind of the end of the season. When is the treasure diving season and how long does it typically last?
We would love to have it from January to December. As anybody that's tried to fish the Atlantic Ocean, that doesn't work. We get a few days in May, we get a few days in June. July is when it gets good, and August, sometimes it continues with being good. We get a few days in September, and by the 1st of October, the last several years, it's just closed out. And nobody, you might get one day, but you get that one day and you've got to recognize the weather window, put a crew together, because everybody disperses after the season, and then get out there and the second day, everything works a lot smoother than it does on the first day. And by the end of the first week, everything's ginning along pretty good. But when you get too many first days, it's just very frustrating. And I'm sure Gary kind of identifies with this, that, after a few days, the rhythm of the boat starts working, and, people know their jobs and you know what to expect. So we're going to work on running the magnetometer all winter, every calm day. But just to dive, we look at the NOAA buoy off of Fort Pierce, which is NOAA buoy 41114. And if it shows below 1.6 feet, it's diveable, probably, if the period's long enough. So you've got, you need a 1.5 at 8 or 9 seconds, or it's just, you just get this, and nobody has a good time. And we try to dive pretty shallow. We were out, they claimed it was going to be 1.3. We had the dredge boat out, and the waves were closer to 4 foot on the reef than they were to 2 foot. It got pretty exciting, apparently. I was not out there, and kind of glad I missed it. But we, hopefully we're going to go down to the Keys over the winter for a few weeks and maybe do a little expedition down there on another wreck, but that remains to be seen. Fingers crossed.
I got a couple questions. One, you just answered why how you determine the season ending. Michael Boyles wants to know, do you pack your lunch or do the boats have a small gallery?
That's a good question. I'd like to handle that one if you don't mind.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
Normally, like on the Carib, Captain Michael, he'll have, some items in there. Sometimes we bring things, but first day back this year, I noticed a big change in the Carib is that it gone from a horizontal exhaust stack to a vertical exhaust stack, which means it's coming right up through the middle of the boat, and it gets hot. It gets pretty hot. So one day we're looking at this thing. Cap Mike says, we could roast hot dogs on that thing. So me, once I get an idea, so I actually tackled it. And I made what we call the Carib hot dog cooker. It attaches with magnets on it. And this last time out, we were actually roasting hot dogs. It was pretty cool. But normally
no one offered me a hot dog.
No, not that day. That was last day out. But yeah, but answer your question, Mike, which is a good question. We normally will bring, we're out there anywhere from 7:30 a.m. till a lot of it depends on when the rollers come in and the surge and the visibility and that kind of thing. But so yeah.
And Brian, we're going to get to your question in just a few minutes. It's actually on our agenda because Gary knew that would be a popular question. So we'll answer your question in just a minute.
Yeah.
I've got two different perspectives here.
Yeah.
On a typical day out on a wreck site, what would it be like for you, Bill? Like just
mostly I end up at the dock a little before people get there with a big herd of scuba tanks and make sure everybody has everything that they need. And then I go do things like figure out where the boats need to go the next day. I don't go out on the boats too much. My health is kind of jacked up these days. My wife does not like for me to be offshore. Which is nice that she cares, but
yes.
So I'm going to try to do my best to take care of that over the winter, and we'll be back on the boats. I really enjoy it, but it's been a couple, 3 years. I just try to make sure everybody has what they need, and that everything works. Boy, and that's a challenge. Some days that's a real challenge. 3 boats, a survey boat and a anchor boat. And I don't know how many parts there are in that many boats, but it's a lot. And all of those parts are subject to breakage. So it's, there's nothing more fun than having somebody show up at the boat a little early and call and say, the Carib's sinking or the high water alarm's going off on showdown. I can fix a lot of things, but a sunken boat's not a good
kind of
time.
hard to fix.
Yeah, takes a long time. But that's I'm just kind of the operations manager these days.
Okay.
So I do my best to do that as best I can.
Awesome.
And I pay the bills.
Oh, that's
Yes,
important.
that's true.
That's really important.
Especially the gas.
Yeah, fuel bill's kind of painful.
Yeah.
So Gary, when you go out, what's a typical day out?
Well, typically, the captain of the boat will get the information from Bill about, the GPS coordinates of where we're head to. So we have an idea where we're going. And captain takes us out to that spot. And what we do is we anchor the boat in position. So we've got to actually put out 3 anchors. We put out 2 out the back and 1 out the bow. And that when they're set in a kind of a triangle, it locks us into place. And then we do is some of you guys have seen the blower on the back of the boat. Some people call it a mailbox. Anyway, it swivels down into the water and we blow the exhaust into the propeller into basically a kind of elbow macaroni shaped device that blows a hole into the sand. And depending on whether it's reefy or sandy, the hole could be less than a foot to 10 feet deep. And once that's done, then we start sending down divers. And divers will go into the hole and use the metal detector and kind of do a spiral search out of the hole. And sometimes we have another diver goes down and does the berm. But the secret of the sauce is to blow as many holes as possible. Blow as many holes. And if you don't find something within 10, 15 minutes, then we shift the boat over and we do the same thing. 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Five.
Yeah. That's a
Five's the lucky number.
It's a tall order, 5 minutes, but we try to do it. But there's a lot of times you get targets. I mean, even people now, but back in the 70s and 80s, people had no problem with throwing tin cans in the water, aluminum cans, beer cans, and they are the friggin' bane of my existence. Because they'll rust or deteriorate down to a disc, and they'll get under the reef and they'll set off this plume of sound on the detector. And you got a choice to pass by it if you think You think it might be a can, but half the time, we're going to dig it.
Right.
And you spend 5 minutes alone just trying to dig that target out. But you get better as you do it more, and you can kind of, you're able to recognize what it is by the different tones and so forth and so on. There you go.
Not a beer can.
Not a beer can.
Not a beer can.
That's gorgeous.
That is gorgeous.
So anyway, we try to do as many holes as possible, and that's before the weather changes here in Florida, which happens pretty regularly, as you know.
Yeah.
And then we move on, and then we try to get in the next day, or depending on the weather, depending on the waves. But that's pretty much what the day's like.
I just want to give a shout out, Frank from Detect America. He joined and he says hello, Gary, Carolyn.
Hey.
Oh,
Hey, Frank.
let's see
Yeah.
here. Do you supply the diver with the detector, or does the diver need to already own their detector to be a candidate for the crib or the showdown?
Well, most everybody owns their own, but I've got a couple on each boat. We use aquapulses these days. We've been having discussions about how good a detector you need to have for this job. But we'll do that some other time. What I need is somebody that is available, is a safe diver, and has a good work ethic, and doesn't, call from home at 6:30 saying, I know I said I was coming, but not today. Because we had, we need 2-3 people on each boat.
Right.
And when we use guest divers, it's important to like everything, it's important to show up. Showing up is half the battle. But your own detector is a good thing. You need to have detector experience. And some folks want to use their Excaliburs, and pretty much people that use Excaliburs come back and start using an aquapulse. And I was wondering the other day if somebody could take an Excalibur, shorten it up, put a short stick on it, and make it useful for underwater detecting. I mean, they're waterproof. They're just that long stick's unhandy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Anderson actually makes a dive shaft that's really lightweight, carbon fiber. It's really small, so it's
Do they?
possible. Yeah.
Yeah, but you also have a problem with VLF and pulse induction.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, they get within more than 8 to 10 feet, and they're jamming, and usually I end up just kind of shooing them off, because you just start getting knocking sounds. But it's a good machine, obviously, and it has its place. Yeah.
Absolutely. I've got a pretty good, going back to a typical day on the site, I got a really good question, and I'll give a shout out to my brother joined and Leilani joined.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, Leilani.
Let's see. They said, doesn't it make sense to search an area where treasure was found previously, or do you randomly blow holes and hope for the best?
Good question.
Really good question.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we have most of the holes that have ever been blown, most of the treasure that's been found since the late 80s is all mapped on the 1715 Queen's Jewels AutoCAD mapping software. I wish I had a picture. I guess here we'll move over there. I'll show you what our maps look like real quick. Hold on a sec. I think this is worth doing because we certainly don't go out there blind. Okay, so we'll shrink that up because I'm sorry, but you don't need to know about that. So I'm here we go. Now, tell me, can you see this map?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the coastline.
Excuse me. That is Corrigan's. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. And all of those white circles are empty holes. And yes, that's a lot of empty holes. You're absolutely correct.
Shoot,
Now-
I dug a lot of holes.
Now we can shut this is a piece of software that our buddy Terry Armstrong did called Dig Finder. And I can shut off all the empty holes and just, oops, gold is turned off. Now that one, that's the red, blinking red lights are where gold has been found at Corrigan's. So let's see, we'll go back here. Those are gold coins. These are gold objects. These are the blinking purple lights are cannons. Some more, the little blinking light there, one or two or three of them are anchors. And let's see, what else have we got here? Okay, so if we turn on iron, those are all of the iron objects that have been found since the 80s on Corrigan's wreck. So no, we don't, this is not random. So let's just take a spot. It's fairly inaccessible, but there's some gold been found there. So we'd look at this. Oh, well, maybe that's not the spot we want to go to, right? Few too many empty holes, that's been worked pretty well. So we would go to some place where there's been a little less activity, maybe. Let's see, we went over here earlier this summer and worked that spot there. Treasure's been found there, but you know, not everybody and their brother's been there. So that's the sort of mapping we do. So I hope that sort of answers the question. We'll move back over here to the desk.
While you're doing that, Bill, I have a question, and I get this question a lot, and probably a lot of people who are watching have the same question because you showed the beach and stuff like that. Legally, what is a metal detector? Isn't a diver, it isn't in the water, but is on the beach. What are they allowed to, or not on the beach? What are they allowed to legally do in a certified wreck site area?
Stay north and stay out of the wet sand. That's basically you'll stay real safe if you just stay out of the wet sand. The rule is, I believe, the low tide line, the high tide line. I never can remember, but you know, just don't go wading off. I've had guys go by me. We'd be sitting in 10 feet of water. Here comes the guy just bobbing along. He's in water up to here. He's got his detector down there. Every once in a while, you know, the swell's bobbing him along. And every once in a while, he'd stop and dig up something with his scoop and go, you know, that's 100 yards back to the beach, still bobbing along, and dump it out and shake his head and motor back out there. And what he was doing with it was illegal, but it was so funny that I just couldn't bring myself to say anything to it. We dig down 4 or 5 feet in the sand, as Gary knows. A scoop's probably not going to do you much good in 5 feet of water. Just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you keep your feet dry, you'll be fine. If you want to wade, you know, don't get past your knees. That's still not legal, but nobody's going to bitch much. And whatever you find is yours. Now, if you find some gold coins, I would appreciate a phone call because I'd like to know where on the beach you found them so I can look in a corresponding place offshore. And I'll give you a musket ball. How's that as a trade? But that's kind of that's the rule. That's the custom. And that's my plea for information.
Awesome.
We just got another really interesting question from Michael Boyles, and I actually asked you this question as well, Bill. Has there been any searches on the inlet side?
On the there are rumors. There are always rumors, and I know as a certified rumor, because I asked the guy who the rumor was about, that there were 6 silver wedges, 5 or 6, found in the lagoon side. Now, people, often want to fantasize that there were ships washed over and nobody noticed, but the water over there is 4 feet deep. They'd have noticed. The water's 4 feet deep and was probably clear. It doesn't have any wave action. At that time, it would have cleared up in a couple of weeks after the river emptied out. And at that time, it was fresh water. So, no, there's nothing over there. I've got stories about, a cannon here and an anchor there, but I still think those were hauled in from the ocean side and dropped there for whatever reasons. But there's not a ship up the Sebastian River. It's just not going to happen. I love a good fantasy, but that's just not one that works out.
Well, I had the same question because I'm just looking at the water and I didn't know that it was that shallow. You're absolutely right. Being 4 feet deep, you would totally see if something was there. So,
Yeah.
All right. I got another question for you guys, and this is where it starts to get fun. What are some examples of 1715 fleet treasure that was found recently?
Well,
Besides the cans that are on the sites.
Yeah, the bane of my existence.
well, the only thing I've got that's fresh, we've turned in everything. Now, Gary's got a bunch of pictures, I think. No?
I don't know. I wasn't able to get those. Sorry.
Okay. Well, this little guy is a silver, we think, I think, is a silver candle holder that might probably have gone into a candelabra. This is unclean the way that, who found this, Gary?
Mark Worthington
That
On the big-
pesky Mark guy.
on a big secret. Mark's
Big secret.
Mark's like a bloodhound, man. I got to learn from him. He's good.
Yeah, his first, he and Greg Kufchik, on their first 2 days, found more coins than we found with any other boat.
That's his first day diving
Disgusting.
on the boat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But this is kind of a cute little piece. Now, recently, Mike Perna and Milty, his deckhand, found a chest of worked silver. So I showed you my little piece of silver. Now I'll tell you about the big pieces. If you'll go to 1715 Fleet Queen's Jewels website, they have all of Mike and Milty's stuff, Mo divers. It's amazing. There's big candelabras. It looks like it's church stuff. There were shipments of worked silver apparently going back. I think that what I've seen, I kind of think that some of this stuff was old, but old when it was packed. But Mike found a chest of worked silver. One boat we found 23 coins in a bunch and a silver buckle. Another boat found 100 and some coins. And those are the ones I've heard of. Of course, in 2015, Jonah Martinez and the crew of the Capitana found 5,500,330 gold coins, which is a heck of it'd fit in a cigar box, but what a cigar box, right?
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of 3 cannonballs, kind of like this one. This is a 1600s cannonball, but we found a couple of cannonballs in the last few years. But it's getting tougher. You know, they found a lot of stuff in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. Been a lot of people looking for a long time. Excuse me.
Well, most of us know that your gold and your silver is going to come out pretty nice. I mean, it might come out in the clusters, but the iron, I mean, showing the ball there, and I know you're going to have to restore it, preserve it. How is the iron from that's sitting down there in the salt water? What condition is that stuff coming out?
It's pretty horrible. This one's been conserved and sealed. These are from, we think, these came from a shipwreck north of Cuba, kind of on the southern edge of the Bahamas. But I think, can you see how rough this poor guy was? There we go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know it's a cannonball because it's iron, but if it was any rougher, it'd be difficult to identify.
We call it an EO.
Yeah, I'm sure that these came up in one big chunk, and I don't have any EOs here. A lot of EOs will ring, and you know we'll turn them in, we'll tag them and turn them in, and of course, everything that we find is recorded on our log sheets. And this little tag, we put a tag just like this on every find. So that find is registered with the artifact, and that is right down to a matter of a few feet on the GPS, logged every time we find something, and actually every time we don't find anything. We have a lot of all those empty holes where somebody's 20 or 30 minutes of their life. But iron takes a terrible beating. But if you're lucky enough, we found about 50 coins in one little pocket a couple of years ago. It was Captain Kim's last find. And they had apparently been sitting with iron. They were all really, really, really good, but they were stained rust colored. Had a little green to them, but they were rusty. A lot of times that means that there's been a piece of iron that's laid there with the coins, and that was the sacrificial anode that gave up the ions to the electrolysis. So if you find coins that are kind of rusty, encrusted with rust, or they're close to a cannon or an anchor or something, they're usually pretty good.
I have another, while we're talking about finds, what's the strangest thing when you guys were out there that you guys have pulled up? I'm sure there's some pretty crazy stuff, but what's the weirdest, strangest?
A lot of good questions coming up. I'm looking at them. Well, I can tell you one last year was probably one of my strangest. I was in about 15 feet, low visibility. Surge was rocking pretty good. And I saw an object, or I heard an object through my earphones, and managed to uncover it. And stuck in the reef was a beautiful silver 1715 bedpan.
Oh,
it was absolutely gorgeous. And I spent about 15 minutes digging this thing out, and I ran my tank down to pretty much nothing. And I struggled, and I managed to get it to the surface. Got it on board, flipped it over, looked at the bottom, and it was probably a 1975 cooking pan that somebody cooked spaghetti in or something and threw overboard. And that's what's left of it. And it broke my heart.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember that day.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I have not found a bedpan. This was kind of cool though. As far as I know, what I have found this is a Mastodon tooth,
Mhm.
Wow.
which I thought was pretty cool. And somebody came up with this a couple of years ago. And as close as I can tell from what I've been able to read, this is a a fossilized whale vertebrae.
Oh, wow.
It's all turned to sand, but you can, in the right light, you can kind of see the bone structure in it on the ends. There's a hole down through it that I assume was where the spinal cord went. But
Okay.
that's as weird as it gets around me.
Yeah.
I have another question. When visibility is bad, you still dive? And if so, how safe is it to keep all the divers accounted for?
That's a good question. It does get bad, and you need to be able to do it if you're going to dive, because that's just how it is. You know, a lot of people say you don't need to see in order to find something with the metal detector. And a lot of times when I go out on land, I'll go out at night, or I'll practice, detecting in the dark, so that I'm more able to find a target, localize it, and actually pull it out of the ground. But it happens quite often. This past couple of days, or a couple of days ago, we were out, and we started with like 3 feet of viz, and it slowly shrank down to nothing, where you could barely see. And you just keep pushing forward, and you keep digging targets. You try to dig the best ones, and it's the only way you're really going to find anything and be successful is try to find the targets. But keeping the divers, safe, it's everybody's responsibility. While we're on top, we try to keep the dive, we watch for the bubbles. Divers have a responsibility to come up every five minutes or so to, give a thumbs up, make sure, give the good sign. And, it's very limited to the amount of people we have on board. So it's not like there's 10, 15 people in the water. We'll have usually 2 at the most at one time.
Now we were talking a little bit about treasure. So once you showed your treasure, you get a little tag for it, so you account for it. But what happens with all of the treasure? Is there any rules or regulations if you find something out there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What happens with ours? We log everything. We are subcontractors with 1715 Fleet Queen's Jewels, and we do a daily log sheet. We turn them in, we write down every GPS coordinate, everything we find, every empty hole we blow. At the end of the month, we turn in our artifacts to John Brandon, who is the operations manager for 1715 Fleet Queen's Jewels. John, at the end of the year, takes everything, cleans and catalogs everything. They identify as much as they can. Then it's sent to Rob. Pictures and descriptions are sent to Rob Westrick, who is our archaeologist. And Rob will write a report about all the pieces and parts that were found. And then the state gets to take up to 20% of the total artifacts found on each wreck site. Now, there are very strict rules about how many coins they can take, but there are no, they can get 20% according to the point values, but a lot of things aren't pointed. Pottery isn't pointed. They very seldom take pottery. Last year, they took all of mine.
Okay.
But they then whatever's left, then we split that 50-50 with Queen's Jewels, and it's literally this one's a 2-point coin, this one's a 2-point coin. I'll take this one, you take that one, and we literally go down the list. This one's, these are equal You know, you take the first one, I'll take the second one, then we'll flip it the next time. I'll take the second one, you take the first one. Very equitable. I have no complaints. The state has hit us pretty hard because we've found some really neat stuff in the last several years. But it's going to be somebody else's turn soon. I'm just sure of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure they didn't want your bedpan, Gary.
Yeah. Hey, Carolyn, real quick timeout. I want to remind everybody who's watching, and we really appreciate you sticking around, is stay tuned till the end of the show, because we're going to give away a search and salvage package, which includes this beautiful 1715 Spanish Fleet shirt. And we've also got a bunch of treasure boat beautiful patches like this Carib patch, which just has this gorgeous gold, metallic gold thread on it. And we got the Samson, which we're still going to talk about, and some decals and some other stuff. So again, stick around.
All right. So how many boats do you actually operate? You kind of said that already, but you were naming them all. But how many do you operate, Bill?
Too many. We have the big secret, which is a 25-foot pontoon boat we use for a dredge boat. Gets in very shallow. It has some big old disadvantages going through the inlet, but on calm days, it works pretty good. The issues with a pontoon boat in the inlet, if it might start off really nice, but if it goes to crap, you still got to get back in the inlet. Best to, as John has found out, best to wait till somebody big goes by and fall in behind them. Our second, well, their next boat is the 26-foot Stamus 1965 diesel powered Stamus single engine dig boat that I've had for 8 years. She's got, in fact, she's got the blower off of Kevin McKee, Art McKee's son's old boat. The blower was put on there by Mike McGuire, who's another old-time treasure hunter. It's kind of a historic little deal, and been a good boat. We've gone through 3 engines in the last 8 years, but and she's sunk twice. This isn't sounding as good as I thought. Wait a minute. But overall, we found a lot of treasure with it. And our third boat and our active third dig boat is the Showdown, which is a 38-foot Bertram sport fish. We completely converted her between the 15th of March and the 15th of June at great expense. And a lot of work from a whole bunch of people that helped me out. Ed Stevens, John Thompson, Mark Worthington.
Troy?
Yeah, I'll take Troy. I think he was down there a day or two. But a lot of people have helped on it. And Jonah Martinez did all the fabrication. And Joey Gooch of Heritage Marine down at Fort Pierce at what we call the Riverside Marina. He did all the welding, and it's really, 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 really first rate. It's a beautiful boat. She's powered by 23208 cats, and she's a good old dependable girl. She's got a lot of years left to dig in her, and we plan on being there for most of them.
Yeah.
She's very comfortable, very capable boat, capable of doing a lot of things. And then we've got Betty, who we use for a survey, runabout, and the Twin V with no name, which is our anchor boat. So that one and one big boat we'll talk about later. So I've got 5 active boats and one on the injured list.
Okay. Jumping over here really quick. Emily says I need to learn how to scuba dive, and that she's out there one day.
Yeah.
Good. We'd love to have you.
Let's see here. So what is this project, the Samson project?
Ooh. This is one of those deals where you just wonder some days if you haven't bit off too big a bite. But I haven't. I'm a good project manager, and this is doable. I have come into possession a 98-foot steel liveaboard dive boat that is presently in Freeport. She'll be here in probably 5 to 6 weeks, I hope. She's being towed over. She's been sitting for 7 or 8 years. She belonged to a friend of mine who has just not had a reason to use her. She's been a floating warehouse and dock. So I made a deal with him, and we're going to bring her over here and refurbish her. She's going to need paint, grinding, sandblasting, carpenter work, but she'll sleep 20 people. There's 5 staterooms, a master.
That's
The
cool.
salon's about 20 feet by 30 feet. There's I don't know how many people you get on this boat. It's a lot. And there's a specific reason that this will be of an advantage to us. We can take this boat. I can use it for a crew house. We can put up backers, put up divers. We can move all of our scuba tank filling equipment onto the boat. So you drop your tanks off at Samson on the way in, pick them up on the way out. It'll be very convenient. We can move her offshore, and this is the real save. This is the real advantage. So I can put her offshore of Corrigan's, a mile out there. We put Showdown and the Carib and maybe a couple of other boats that work with us sometimes out there. And instead of getting to the site at 9 o'clock and being set up by 9:30, we can be on site, set up and working at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
We can stay there later because there's no trip home. And if we can do that 3 or 4 days at a time, we can double the amount of hours that we can get in per boat. And it's, as Gary said earlier, it's all about how much bottom you move. You know, you've got to be in the right place, but you've got to just keep moving that sand. And I think this is the best way to maximize our time on the water. When we're not running the 17, 15 trips, the boat's going to be invaluable in other ways. We're hoping to be able to put archaeological teams on the boat as sort of a lease. Maybe we could lease it to a college that wants to do a dig, so we can put 10 or 15 people aboard with a crane. We've got all the equipment and plenty of room to do their science. So that's kind of how we want to structure this whole thing. But the reason I'm running it as a project is because by myself, I can't do this. It would be horrendously expensive to hire everybody. What we're going to do is we're going to run a YouTube channel. And we're going to go through, this is the boat. This is, I'm going to invite people to come down and work on it. I'm going to try to get some sponsorship for, paint. Paint manufacturer would be a wonderful thing. Some sandblasting service. I could really use those guys. But we'll get her fixed up, and she doesn't have to be a yacht. She just has to be a good, solid, clean work boat. And one of the reasons that I do things the way I do things, and I don't have just 3 or 4 backers. I have people from all over the country who want to be part of this, part of search and salvage. and part of the hunt for Spanish treasure. And there are a lot of people who will never get the opportunity to work on a boat, to help on a project where, this boat is going to be floating in the ocean. Will most of the time commute out by boat. And then, it's a project that most folks, including me, would never have had the opportunity to take part in. I grew up in Kansas, for God's sake. The biggest boat I owned until I was 52 was 16 feet in aluminum, and we hunted ducks out of it. Things have changed quite a bit since then.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity for me to get to know people, and my motto is a rising tide lifts all boats. So if we can all, if I can provide people with an experience, being part of a team, being part of a big effort, being part of a project that has a greater purpose, shall we say. It's starting to sound a little grandiose, but that's the Samson project.
I think when you mentioned this to me, I think the first thing out of my mouth was sign me up. I want to come down and help. I mean, that's an experience to say that I was able to help whatever I could do. I'll be there, Bill.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
If I'm making peanut butter jelly sandwiches in here, I'll be there.
That works too. That works too. There's a job for everybody.
Absolutely.
There'll be cutting, welding, painting, scraping, grinding, carpenter work. And, I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a great experience for everybody, including me.
Yeah, and me.
And him.
As Bill mentioned, a lot of times you're thinking about that trip home, you're tired, you got to, for me, it's like an hour and 45-minute drive. And if you don't do that, then you got to find a local Motel 6 and spend the night and spend the cash to do all that. But to know that you can run the boat until 4 o'clock in the afternoon and then just drive out a mile and climb into a stateroom, take a hot shower, clean your gear and go to bed. I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. Something to look forward to.
Absolutely. So that's a pretty big project that you got going there, Bill. What else do you got planned for next season?
Find much more treasure. Stay out, get up earlier, stay out later, dig more holes, have more fun.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, let's say somebody's like, we've got a lot of people. I mean, I know one day out on a boat with you. I mean, maybe it wasn't an eventful day for you, but for me, it was just like, holy cow. I mean, my mind turning after just getting out there. And I know a lot of people, just looking at the comments that I'm seeing here, a lot of people are getting excited. A lot of people want to get involved. And how does one become involved with search and salvage or any of your projects that you're working with, Bill?
Well, there's several different levels, from buying a t-shirt to, and always talk to my global manager of merch, Gary Penta. He handles all of it, and we hope to be a global force in the merch business. But there's a lot of things. There's going to be the Samson project. I do take some financial helpers. It's not a stock deal, so it's kind of a private, this is, I can explain all of it, but basically I sell a percentage of what we find. And many years you might not even get a piece of pottery. Most years you'll get a piece of pottery. And some years, you get a silver coin. And one of these days we're looking for 20 tons of silver coins. That's why we're doing this project, this 3 years, all this mag effort. If I can put a big enough package together next year, we'll be pulling 2 magnetometers at the same time to cover more ground. But we believe that there are well over 300 chests of silver coins still missing. And that's what we're after. So if, follow along on Search and Salvage on Facebook, find my personal deal. And over the winter, you know, the Samson project is going to be a good place to get to know people. For people to get to know me and me to get to know them. And you know, one of the issues that we have in this business is that we essentially run for 90 days, and for most people, then they all go home. This is all I do, and you know, I work on boats all year and work on magnetometers, work on, you know, this is it. For better or worse, depends on if you're talking to me or my wife. But it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of dedicated help. I cannot offer big financial rewards. I will not promise you anything but a good time and an honest effort. But if you're interested in putting up some money and coming to dive, I'd love to talk to you, but just find me through Facebook or send me an email at ropesfish, ROPES, fish @gmail.com. You know, come down, we'll get, you know, if you're in Portland, Maine or Portland, Oregon or Barrow, Alaska, it's a way to become a part of what we do.
Absolutely.
And we're going to find it, or I'm going to find out where it isn't.
Absolutely. So be sure, if you guys are listening, you're interested, be sure to follow Bill Black, Search and Salvage. Look him up on Facebook, Bill Black, or email him at ropesfish@gmail.com and see what you guys can work out. So now we got some giveaways we're going to do here in just a moment. I am going to mention just really quick, because we did have two questions. The Note Macro multi-frequency detector is not out yet, and I have no idea when it's going to be released. So just keep watching the Kellyco page. Once we know, we'll put it up there, but they don't have a release date. And we do have an event going on Saturday at the showroom if you want to stop on by. I know Brian asked about it. It'll be 10 to 3. And also these really cool shirts like I've got on here, and like what
Nice shirt.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I know the guy who made this. So
I know a guy who doesn't have one yet.
Uh-oh.
Do they come in my size?
Probably. Yeah, but what we're doing is in order to help fund operations, Bill and I have launched into a mutual agreement where as you guys know, I do some artwork here and there, and so I'm coming up with all kinds of cool designs. As I mentioned, the one that we're going to give away today has a search and salvage with the Samson anchor and octopus underneath it. So we're going to give that one away, but we also have some other ones too. This is a pretty cool one that I recently designed, and this is like a historic kind of a tribute. This is to the Nuestra Señora de la Regla. That is one of the ships that sank off. This one is actually known as a cabin wreck. And it's got the old Spanish language on it, and it shows a diver on it. So that's one of the shirts. And we've got a couple other ones too. This is a fairly new one for those people who don't dive on the East Coast, but instead choose to dive on the West Coast. We've got a beautiful new Megalodon shirt, which is kind of cool.
That's really nice.
Yeah, so and we got patches, decals, and like I said, a lot of this is going to go to help funding of the operations. And not only do we have some at the Kellyco showroom now, so if you're in the Kellyco showroom, you want to pick one up, and we'll be rotating out designs, but we also have them available online at my website, mydetecting.com/shop, or just go to mydetecting.com and you can find it. And all this stuff will be available there.
And I just want to mention that's the Orlando showroom they're located in, not the
Yes,
Knoxville office.
sure. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
Yeah.
So, but I do have them, and if you guys are by on Saturday, because I know a lot of people want to stop by, I'm going to try to start doing a once a month event on a Saturday so I can open up. Problem is the building's closed, So I got to prop the door open and everything. And Bill, I'd love to have you come up there, meet some people and everything.
Sure,
Set that
absolutely.
up. So yeah, so definitely stop by and get the shirts, help support the search and salvage just by getting a shirt.
All right,
Every little bit helps.
It does. It does. Before we roll into the shirt giveaway, I want to say hello to some people real quick. My beautiful little sister Deb is watching right now. My beautiful Aunt Barbara, she's watching too. Some of my really good buddies, fellow divers. I met so many good people this past season, this past 2 years. Some great divers. Jerry Burbaugh, dive master. He's top notch. One of the best guys you're ever going to want to dive with. And recently, we talked about how to get involved. And the way to get involved is be dive certified, be available, have a good work ethic, and be willing to learn. And Jim Dardini and Angela Elderson, they're two of our newest divers on the Carib, and they fit like a glove. They're amazing, amazing couple. I love being with them. And brand new diver. Jim's a brand new diver, but he's just good. He's really good, and he's got a lot of potential. I've also met some other divers, Corinne and Mark Worthington. We spoke about him, Troy. So a lot of really good people, a lot of good people to hang out with. So if you are interested in, becoming a diver, get in touch with Bill or get in touch with me or somebody in the crew, and, we'll see what we can do. Someday, maybe down the road, we'll get you on board.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna give away the shirt and the patches. It'll be a package deal. I'll send it out tomorrow. So if you win, I need you to send me a private message with your name and your mailing address and your shirt size too. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have Bill. Bill's gonna pick a number from 1 to 100. That's Bill's responsibility. Now, what everybody in the audience is gonna do is pick two numbers between 1 and 100, and go ahead and start posting them in the chat. Two numbers between 1 and 100. And the first time, Bill, you see that number, if you can track it, or if you want to text me the number, I'll help you track it. And first time it pops up, that's the winner.
Well, I
Well,
can't
actually,
text you
what
from
we'll do
here.
is we'll go ahead and we'll have people post them, and then after the show, I'll go ahead and search the records.
I'll text you one.
Okay.
I know how to do that.
Yeah, the numbers are flying in like crazy right now.
I'm glad yours is going. Mine's not going too fast here.
So maybe you could help me, Carolyn. Once.
Yep.
Got it?
I got it.
Okay.
All right, Carolyn, I'm going to text it to you.
All right.
And then
You know how to multitask. When they were talking about good work ethics, being prepared, multitasking is important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As in, I'm plugging in my phone to the power while talking to you. Multitasking.
Carolyn, I was saying, how's the stock looking on the AQ1Bs? That is the metal detector of choice for us, and we're always looking to get our hands on those things.
I mean, right now we're doing pretty good with stock inventory. I mean, everything's crazy right now. So
yeah,
you want to get one while you can. I can't make no promises just because inventory in general is flying off. So
okay, I texted it to you, Carolyn.
All right, I got it.
All right, so what we'll do is we'll look at the comments section, and
Are
we're
you
looking.
kidding me? There's a winner.
We're looking at the top of the list first to make sure that it wasn't duplicated.
All right.
I don't know if you can do that right now. If you see it, just let me know.
I see it.
All right, you want to make the call?
Barbara Penta.
Because I see it too.
Barbara Penta won.
Barbara Penta with number 73. Now, unless somebody can show that number as coming up before. And Bill, you picked it.
I did.
Wow.
I graduated in 1973.
Did you? My Aunt Barb, she lives in New York. And I love her, man. Ever since I was a little kid, I loved her. That is awesome. Okay. So we're good. Aunt Barb, I'm going to send you this beautiful t-shirt. You got to send me your size and I'll send you some packages. Anybody else out there, if you are interested in owning a part of search and salvage and helping out with operations, you can purchase a shirt at my website, mydetecting.com. And if you do so and you use the coupon code Bill Black, you'll get 10% off anything that you purchase within the next 24 hours. So again, if you want to own a search and salvage shirt and help out operations, go to mydetecting.com, use the coupon code Bill Black.
Well, that's pretty cool. I've never been a coupon code.
You are my coupon code.
Wow.
I've been called a lot of things, but never a coupon code.
Now I've got to promote two things while we're here. I do a radio show on Sundays with Johnny Ringo and Brad Brock at 5 o'clock on Sundays every week. I do 5 or 10 minutes of what all happened on the treasure boat today.
Okay.
And a friend of mine, John Cunningham, actually put me in his book. I do some work for Wayne Gales as a technical advisor. Wayne writes great nautical fiction. And I've done it for Stephen Becker, who also writes good stuff. But John Cunningham actually put me in his latest book, which is around here somewhere, called Indigo Abyss. And it has to do with the 1715 fleet. And it's well written. It's a good story. And it's weird seeing your name in a book. It's nice not seeing your name in the police reports, but it's weird seeing your name in a book. But I'm just some guy that got really lucky from Kansas.
Sorry.
And I'm real happy to be here.
I just think it's awesome. I think it's great that you're out following your dream, hearing your story. I mean, when we were on the boat, I learned so much about you and it was just so much fun. And I just think it's really cool that you followed your dream. One thing I want to say about Gary is very passionate about this. He loves what he does. And not only like the metal detecting and diving side, he gets excited about getting other people involved.
I do.
He's told me many times that he's made it his personal mission to get as many of his friends involved, including me. And I have this huge fear of sharks, but tossing the idea, there might be something one day, but he's a really good guy to have on your team there, Bill.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
I really enjoy having Gary around. And what you need to remember about sharks is after 50 or 60 years of treasure diving here on the Treasure Coast, we have not yet lost one diver to a shark, ever.
Never seen one.
Wow.
I haven't never seen
videos Gary posted with sharks.
Yeah, I have had a manatee swim right over the top of me while I was in the hole, and I never saw it because I was doing my job. I was in the hole facing down. Yeah. But other than that, I've never personally seen one.
Wow.
So that's, if we had crocodiles or hippopotamuses, those are the two dangerous ones.
Yeah.
As long as I'm always on hippo watch, so we're safe.
I was just reading earlier, annually, 2,900 people are attacked by a hippo.
I posted that, I know.
That's right, you did, yeah.
I was reading that earlier, and I'm like, 5 shark attacks.
And the cows were surprising.
I was like, what, 120 deer? And I'm like, okay, and 5 shark attacks. I didn't realize it was you that posted it, Bill, but I read it, and I was like, man.
Through fear of the hippo.
Yeah.
Of course, if you stay out of Africa, you're probably safe.
Probably.
Oh. Mark Hoover said, Gary, the sharks have seen you, even if you haven't seen them.
Probably.
Come diving, Mark.
Yeah, Mark's up next. He's going to come out probably next season. He's ready. He just got recertified like in, I think, since 1970 something.
Wow. Well, I just want to tell you guys, this has been a very exciting show. Typically, we go 30 minutes. And I knew when I booked this coffee with Kellyco, I was like, this isn't going to go 30 minutes. No way, because it's so much fun and there's too much to talk about. So I really appreciate you guys taking your time. I know you guys are both very busy during the day to sit with me, talk about it, get people excited. And I really hope, that some people give you a call, Bill, or send you an email.
Well, I look forward to it. I will. Hey, I managed to plug in the wrong plug. My phone was almost ready to die. I really appreciate it. I'd love to talk to you. I really have, this is my thing. And I really enjoy getting new people in it. It's not, I've been in one of those places where it's real hard to find adventure and you have to make it yourself.
True.
And sometimes it's just damned hard to find. So yeah, I like to share this with people. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it, and I think it's a worthwhile way to spend your time.
Absolutely, I agree.
And I really appreciate you, Gary, for helping me get here. And Carolyn, I really enjoyed having you on the boat, and you're welcome back anytime.
Absolutely. I'll be there, and I'll be down there scraping paint, handing out water, making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You just tell me what to do and I'll be there, Bill.
Yes,
Awesome.
ma'am.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Kellyco.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks much.
And I just want to thank everybody for watching tonight. It was an awesome show. And stay tuned next Wednesday at 9:30. I'm going to be on with Peter Sorrell and Matt from Digstock, a huge event coming up, which Gary, you're involved in as well.
Yeah.
So,
Look forward to it.
yeah, it's going to be fun. So tune in next Wednesday morning at 9:30. And I'll see you guys next week. Everybody have a good evening, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, Carolyn.
everyone.
Bye, Bill.
Bill.
Bye-bye.
Gary.
Thanks for looking in, folks.